Okay, everybody, just wanted to say hello. Hopefully your weekend is going well. We adjusted bandwidth on this video, so we should have a much clearer audio side. Still haven't got the repairs done at the house, and likely those won't get taken care of until the first part of this next week. So wanted to make sure that we could at least get a manageable audio side of this, seeing how most of our questions are answered via sound anyway. Give me a 1 if the sound is better or improved if you guys have been on this last week's session, or if it's at least sounds good. So I think we've got a few questions coming in from Graham already. We've got Igor on. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Welcome. If it's your first time. Yeah, just questions in the chat box, and I'll get to them as I can. All right, Graham's got some questions, it looks like, for long-term or long-tail keywords that are easier to rank for, looking at the all-in title operator within Google. I think he's got a follow-up here. If I use all-in title and find a few competitive URLs, and Google says it has a few hundred searches, does that make it easier to rank? Yes, Graham, it does, definitely. The three things that I look for to determine whether or not a keyword is going to be difficult to rank for are using those two all-in title and all-in URL operators. Oops. So all-in title and all-in URL. And then I also look at the results that do come back for those competing pages to check out how powerful of a site those are. You know, if you've only got 5 or 10 results, but those are 5 or 10 really, really good results, you're still going to have a hard time. But it does usually indicate that there is much less competition. Okay, so we're good here. Just got a message from Graham. He may be on the wrong page than me. Post a link to the exact page here real quick for him. Make sure that he's where we are. Just give me 1 second while I do that. Okay, that should work. Okay, heading back over here. Okay, Nathan B. Hi, Fletch. Any suggestions on how to make the following link text appear natural in your post text? Example, plumbing, San Francisco. This phrase doesn't fit in a typical English sentence. Does it matter, and what would you do? Yes, the answer is that it does matter. You want to, if you're going for your exact match in your anchor text, you need it to be your exact match. With a lot of local operators like that, or local anchor text variations like that, that happens a lot, as you can probably imagine. What I typically do is break it up into 2 phrases. So I would put like having trouble with your plumbing, comma, San Francisco, question mark, and then have the anchor text only be the plumbing San Francisco portion. Even though there's a comma in there, that's fine. That punctuation will not matter as far as your anchor text goes. So most of the time I need to do that. That's how I'll accomplish it, Nathan. There's a bunch of different variations along those lines, but yeah, you do, if you're trying to get the exact match in that anchor text, you do need to be exact. You can accomplish a lot with other variations, LSI variations, and longer tail variations of the anchor text, but that's one way to accomplish it, and it will give you more punch to have that exact anchor text that way. So. might not get any questions coming through, so I'll just kind of hang tight while you guys think about what you might want to ask or how you want to cover things. Oh, Philip said he's having a hard time getting in, so no questions yet. All right, man. Yeah, hopefully everything's worked out. Glad you made it, though. Okay, Mary, if I were buying an expired domain where 85% of the anchor text was all branded, cut the URL there, brand.com, brand, etc., do I just start building my links with other anchor text? Do I need to worry about over-optimization since I'm basically starting over with new content, etc.? No, you're going to be much... so yes, if you've got a situation like that, a lot of times those sites, depending on what they are and how they're set up, are excellent money sites as an expired domain, because most of those branded anchor texts that are already pointing to your site are going to be things that look natural within your breakdown of links moving forward if you want to start adding other money keywords. So depending on what you're going to do, if you're going to use that as a PBN, then yes, you can just essentially link out from that the way you would with any normal site. But if you were going to use that for a money site, which it sounds like your question is kind of pointing in that direction, you can probably start in with a exact match anchor text a little more aggressively than you normally would there, Mary, because the branded anchor text that's already in existence is going to kind of come into play there and going to help you out in balancing, you know, your anchor text percentages so that you're not over optimized or over aggressive with your anchor text percentages. Okay, Igor, hi Fletch, I set up my PBNs already, and tomorrow's a big day. They will start calling chiropractor offices that already rank at around 30 to 35 in my city. Okay, what are some tips on approaching the conversation right to hook somebody to be a client? So Igor, I don't know if you've seen my 60-Day Day Job Killer series of videos that are on the Fletch page in the membership area yet. But the approach that I really like is taking kind of a market research approach, and with, you know, kind of the initial call, the initial couple of meetings, what I do is really try to just educate the business owner as to the actual size of the market that is using Google to find services that they offer. So in the chiropractor market, if you could go in and do kind of a market study on the number of people every month that are looking for a chiropractor in your city, if they're looking for, you know, a back pain chiropractor, all those specific, you know, variations on chiropractor. I also show, actually, in that niche, a spinal decompression site that I have and operate that's pointed to a chiropractor. And once you put all those together and essentially you multiply the number of searches by the conversion rate, by the value of each of those clients, you can give that chiropractor a pretty decent impression of the amount of business that they could improve their kind of monthly numbers by, and kind of set the bar there. And that really kind of just says, this is what you're missing without the rankings that you need to have through Google. And, you know, this is the value every month of people who are finding other people's sites and taking their business to them. And then I just kind of go from there. So, like I said, that explanation is laid out more in detail on that series, but that's kind of the general approach that I take on that, Igor. Chuck, Qzx Services offers bookmarking. Is this the same as GSA does? You know, I'm not 100% certain, Chuck. I would actually be pretty surprised if Qzx Services does not use GSA. They might use, you know, Ultimate Daemon or SE Nuke or something like that, but those tools essentially work the same way. So yeah, unless the terminology is different for what he is mentioning there, as compared to what GSA's terminology is, I'm not 100% certain. As far as I know, Qzx Service, when you book a gig with him, he essentially just says it's done. He doesn't give you kind of a printout or a list of URLs or anything for the links or the the posts or anything that were mentioned. So I'm not 100% sure if that's the same or not, but I would think it is. Except you can control better anchor text, etc. with GSA. Yeah, I like GSA for that very reason, Chuck. If you've got if you control what's going on, you can, first of all, you know exactly what got done. So if it works great or if it doesn't work so well, you can modify it. When you outsource, you have a little less control over what's going on with those gigs. So, all right, Graham, glad you made it on, buddy. All right, Graham, if I use all in title and find few competitive URLs, and Google says it has a few hundred searches, does that make it easier to rank? Oh yeah, Graham, I actually answered this because I thought you were on, but essentially the three things that I do to manage or get an estimate of how competitive a keyword is or how difficult it's going to be is I use those two operators, the all in title, I use the all in URL, and then the third I do is to actually do a search for what comes up naturally when I search for those keywords and look at that first page of results and essentially check to see how well done the SEO is on those results. So if they're very powerful sites with a lot of domain authority and really good page rank, and they've got not over-optimized URL structures or keywords, it's still going to be challenging to get on the first page. Even though there might be only 10 results that are going after that keyword, if all 10 results are really strong, you're still going to have a challenge. So if you go through those three steps, though, you should be in pretty good shape to determine how challenging it's going to be to get on the first page. Okay. All right, question from Mary.
Well, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We certainly hope you're
All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had a lot of background noise. I had to mute for a second. So getting back to Mary's question here, so a site that was over-optimized for a brand could be rehabilitated by switching its purpose. Yes, that's accurate and correct, Mary. Okay, Nathan got 5 PVM sites essentially look empty until I start adding posts. Okay. Should I worry that there is some time transpiring while a new PVM has an empty front page with no posts yet? Yeah, you don't want to let that go on, for an extended period of time, Nathan. Usually if you get things up and going in a couple weeks, it's not a problem at all. What you do potentially, those links stay in place. So as long as the link is indexed by Google, you're in fine shape. But what you potentially could have is a situation where somebody does go check whether the links from their site are going to where they're supposed to go. And if they find the site that's totally empty or not even populated, the risk is that they could take those links down. That's another reason that we really go through the time to check on whether those links are in place on the existing website yet. And we also like to see links that are older, because those are typically links that will stay in place much longer while we are repurposing the PBN sites that we buy. So that kind of brings a little more maybe clarity to why some of the link research that we do at the front end is important. So, all right, Joshua, when you count keywords for working out percentages, do you count each and every word as if, such as this, if you had a 4-word long tail keyword, 2% of the 400 words would be 2. Does that make sense? Yeah, Josh, I think what you're talking about is over-optimization for on-page content and kind of contextual percentages of those keywords and the iterations on the page. Usually we don't run into issues where that becomes a problem for us. If you write naturally and you have decent content on your page, you're going to cover your essentially cover your bases for not having too much of that on your page. A lot of that over-optimization for just the amount of times that those keywords show up on your page came from a couple of years ago. My understanding was that you could essentially just have the same keyword 1,000 times on a page and you would rank for that keyword, because that was one of Google's algorithms. So for the most part, if you just write naturally, you're going to be in shape. The only other time that we have an issue with it is when we've got a site that may be set up with vSilo, and if you do not pull in descriptions, you can potentially run into a situation where all of your supporting pages, your categories, are only the type of videos, and all of those titles, the keywords in it, and kind of get to having too much of that keyword on the page. But what you're getting at here, the answer to your real question here is you count the exact match, the number of times it's exact match, if you're worried about it. Dog fast, and that's what you're worried about over-optimizing. You don't have to count every time the word "the" is on your page, or every time the word "dog" is on your page. You need to count the number of times the dog ran fast is on your page. Okay, Matt B. Hey, Fletch, looking from PBN post to money site, inside pages, or one inside page of 2 different money sites, which is better? I kind of like to mix it up, Matt. So, sometimes I'll have 2 links from the same post going to the exact same, page on a money site. Other times I'll mix it up and have, a link going to one money site and another link going to a different money site. And then other times I will have a link going to an authority site and one going to a money site. So those are kind of the 3 variations I typically do. Mary saying, at Chuck last week I had Qzx300 cancel out one of my orders because of the problem they were seeing. As Greg says, these guys are pretty good. I know what they're doing to a point of adjusting what they are doing to stay safe. Yeah, exactly, Mary. It's a good strategy. All right, Graham W. If I go through those 3 steps using on title, etc., but the search volume is low, say below 100, is it still worth going after? Yeah, if there's still a market value there is, Graham. Let me draw a blank. Spinal decompression Phoenix site that I have up, that I have used as a demonstration site for you guys. Who's telling me that there's only 73 searches per month on that site? And it's definitely valuable for me, and it's most assuredly valuable for the chiropractor. Those leads are going. But for those customers, it's about $3,500, and typically insurance is on the cash customer. So if they only get 3 customers per month out of that deal, they've increased their revenue $10,000 a month. So, if it's people searching for for ebook, that may be a different matter. So it just depends on what the actual customer value is as to whether or not the system there or the program. Okay, Graham, follow-up question regarding videos on YouTube and the description. Can Google see this, and does it count as duplicate content if I use the same info as is on my blog? Yeah, Google can see that, Graham. Google owns YouTube. They work very closely together. YouTube's algorithm is slightly different than Google's, meaning that to rank a video on the Google search bar is a little different than ranking a video for Google. But aside from that, yeah, all that content is visible. What you're doing when you scrape YouTube to embed videos on your blog is essentially a form of syndication. So because of that, it's not as, I guess, duplicate content risky as other versions of that, you know, essentially just copying the same content on multiple pages on your site would be. All right, Ken, Greg has said that the .gov and .edu extensions can be the best sources of good links. None of the search tools for buying expired domains allows to filter using those extensions. How do we find these? GoDaddy support people told me .gov cannot be sold to private parties. It must be a government entity. Oh yeah, Ken, so what Greg's talking about is you can buy expired domains that have .gov links pointing to it. So yes, you cannot buy a .gov domain, but you can buy an expired domain that has .gov links pointing to it. So that's what Greg's talking about there. And the same goes for .edu. It's, you know, they restrict the access to those domains, and that's one of the reasons, that's the primary reason why those sources are such good locations to get links from. They're more valued, they're more exclusive, and they usually provide more punch for our SEO. Okay, Matt, the most links to a money site from one BDN site. I would try to keep it to about, maybe three or four, Matt. I think you're probably getting risky if you go more than that. But you can certainly have, you know, more than a couple. You know, I'd keep it at two to four. You're probably okay. Ken, can you compare Market Samurai, which you used, TLKT, and Word Tracker? Yeah. Ken, well, not Word Tracker. I don't use Word Tracker. I haven't used that. TLKT is a keyword tool that Network Empire has and uses that I use as well, that works in conjunction with a lot of their back-end tools to build out silos, to understand market value, to do a bunch of different really scaled up SEO processes. Market Samurai is just a third-party software that you can buy that accesses and aggregates keyword data from Google and from Majestic SEO. So I used Market Samurai to kind of do quick and dirty competition research on how difficult it's going to be to rank for certain keywords, just to get a quick and easy impression of whether I want to go after something. If I, you know, realize that I do, what I'll typically do is then go to use their tool to do a more detailed analysis of it. I use those two, and then Word Tracker. I don't know what Word Tracker does. I've never used it, and yeah, I wouldn't even know how it differs from the other two. But TLKT and Market Samurai both use Google's Keyword Planner to get their initial search volume, and that's essentially the number of clicks, and that's what it estimates the number of clicks based on Google's report of the search volume for those keywords. Okay, Graham W., if I'm trying to rank many pages that I have found through All Entitled, do I need a separate page for each page or just one? Whoops, jump around on me. Do I need a separate page for each or just one view with the varying anchor text? Probably depends on a couple things, Graham. It'd be hard to tell you right now. Easiest strategy, I usually just make a separate page for each of those variations. As long as they are actual different variations, like if they're a different concept, then it's reasonable to put a different page together for it. If they're just a different way of wording it, you know, a different order of the words and things like that, I would keep all that on the same page. We always say that that user Visitor usability trumps, what would be the ideal SEO, setup, because, if you got 10 people coming to a site and your conversion rate is 30% on a great site and, half of 1% on a site that's kind of weird, even if you get twice as many people, you're still going to convert much less, at the end of the day, by having a site that's a little confusing. So we always opt for a better scenario for visitor usability than, just the straight up optimal SEO way of doing things. Okay, where'd we go here? Igor's asking, what do we need Qzx service for? Okay, Qzx service is a Fiverr gig that Greg has used in the past to rank and send links to primarily YouTube videos, but he can also be used to rank other Web 2.0 domains and directories, things of high domain authority that do not require as much scrutiny on the quality of links pointing to them. So he uses link building tools. I don't know exactly what he uses, but I would assume it's like SENuke or GSA or Ultimate Daemon to build a lot of links of varying types and point them to whatever we tell them we want to point toward. So you can usually get 10,000 social bookmarks for $5 from Igor or from Qzx service. So that's usually what we use them for. All right, George SF, do you think there's merit to getting news via Google Plus versus YouTube? That is, if we are not embedding. Yeah, I mean, any of the Google properties, Google is going to pay attention to, and that's one of the reasons I believe that they are continuing to provide more platforms, because they want to get more data on what people are doing online. So it would make sense that if they're getting data on what people are doing online, that they were also going to be using that data to tweak and adjust their algorithm. Keep in mind that Google's algorithm is going to advance and adjust only so far as it takes to keep them being the best search engine that people want to use to find information, because that's where they're going to make their ad money. Just getting the best search results is only valuable to Google in so much as it keeps people using Google, and by people using Google, they're going to be able to sell more ads. So. All right, Dave, and when you embed your YouTube video in a PVN, would you link it to the YouTube channel or the video in order to rank the YouTube video? You can do both, Dave. I've set up a little bit. You can rank a YouTube channel and a YouTube video. Very rare to see an actual channel ranked, but the more link juice you have flowing through your channel and the URL structure that is all the videos underneath your channel's structure, the better off you're going to be. That link juice is going to flow down into those inner YouTube videos as well if you send some links directly to the channel page. All right, Michael R. You said that you had built 10 to 15 sites for a single customer. How often do you add or change once they are set up? Honestly, Michael, that first year, once they were set up and ranked where I ranked them, I did not change them at all. I went probably 9 months without adding content to any of those sites. With those local markets, if you aren't working in them already, you'd probably be surprised at how little actual competition there is. As long as you've got a good site that provides good content, good bounce, low bounce rate, and time on it is pretty decent, you're not gonna move that much unless somebody else comes along that just does it really, really better than you do. So yeah, frequency of publish on those local sites is not well. I did not focus on that. I'll put it that way. This next year, moving forward, I'm going to start looking at that some more to get even larger market share within those entire industries, as opposed to just keywords. For instance, if I've got a hail damage roofing site, I really went after the hail damage keywords, or insurance, hail damage insurance roofing keywords, as opposed to the roofing industry in general. Now I'm starting to kind of adjust my strategy a little bit. I'll probably do those little micro sites that I talk about, that are only 6 or 7 or 10 pages. I'll probably leave those alone, but the bigger sites that are going after more industry standard, bigger, broad keywords, I'll probably pay attention to frequency of publishing. Okay, Nathan B., I built a lead generation site with some branding on it for a client to help conversion. Okay, the client has an existing site that's not ranked well. Do I need to worry that my branded lead gen site has some similarities to that existing client site, such as company info? No, I wouldn't worry about that too much at all, Nathan. If it's just what we call the NAP, the name, address, phone number, NAP, and like a logo or something like that, I really wouldn't worry about it too much. You don't want to use all the same photos. If they've got a bunch of photos that they had done, don't use the same photos on both sites. You want that to vary. You want the content to vary. But if you're just looking at logo, maybe a picture or two, and name, address, phone number, don't worry about that being a conflict that Google's going to penalize. All right, Philip. Oh yeah, he's got a resource there for you, Ken, for .edu and .links. All right, Janet, I just saw David Mills' update on host 9 on our OLG homepage about their service-wide footprint. I'm glad he addressed this since it has been my concern. Use of host 9, what are your thoughts? You know what, I need to go read that through before I comment on it. I've seen it. I would pretty much assume, though, that whatever is written there definitely Greg. So technically, even though he's not the SEO guy, he would very much be, getting information from Greg specifically to write whatever comment he has there. So go check that. I'm actually glad you mentioned that, Janet. I'll go have at that. I can either do that here in a session if you're interested, or I'll do that afterwards, and we can talk about it next coaching. All right, Fletch from Igor. Tomorrow when I phone chiropractors who are already ranking 30 to 40 in search before I call them, do I have to determine how well the keywords are working on their existing site? I want to use their existing site to rank after doing my research on them. I would, Igor. The more information you have, the more prepared you're going to be, the more confident you're going to be, and the more you can speak to their exact situation. If you know their business, at least online, as well or better than them, then you can provide strategy and consulting from a position already and an expert in a position, which I always find is better than to say that more of a generic resource who just knows about SEO. You actually know about SEO, and you know about how their specific website is doing. So I would put some time into that for sure, and see what you can come up with. Matt B, best practice for ranking YouTube video. PBNs work great, Matt, and also using a reasonable keyword density from DSA works really, really well. So what got lapped a little bit a month or 6 weeks ago were people who were using those link building tools and still using 100% anchor text from all of those links that they built all had the exact same anchor text, and they were pointing them to YouTube videos to rank them that way. That worked great up until about 6 weeks ago, and then Google said, yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. Let's go ahead and add that as another layer of our kind of scrutiny to make sure that people aren't just kind of game our system a bit. But this strategy, we just can't use 100% anchor text. Anchor text, you're going to have a much lower percentage on anchor text. So you can definitely still use LSI variation branded and the generic click here and link and all that kind of thing. But I use both of those still, and they still work well. So. I'm actually going to go check out. Whoops. Check that out. Pull it up. Let me go through and see what David's written about the site-wide footprint in Host 9. Okay, Phil, that's what you're talking about, anchor text from YouTube. I've been amazed for local sites how many use only their site name and one keyword. Yeah. As you guys do more and more with local client consulting and start to really round at what's ranking for local keywords, modifiers, stuff like that, you guys are going to be surprised at how poor their SEO is, essentially. It really doesn't take a lot to beat them. If you just have some forethought, put some time into thinking about rank for, have good intent, figure out keywords you want to go after, you're going to be able to monetize and make money with easily. It's definitely easy. And just experience is going to be this thing to help that understanding. Getting in there, looking at the actual petition, then starting to build your own sites and get them ranked. It really opens, it spreads the horizon quite a bit. So that's a great comment there, Philip. Off my last question, even when a chiropractor site has low authority and weak links, they can still beat my client by linking them through my PBN. Because they have their keyword strength. No, if it's yeah, I may have misspoken or something there, Igor. If you're using a PBN and you start to build up a client site with a really a solid mixture of keywords, and make sure that their site is not over-optimized in the title structure and the URL structure, you're going to be able to be just about any local markets. There are very few industries I've gone into. It's been a lot of struggle to get rid of. So, yeah, it's not something to worry about too much. Okay, name, do I have a PBN site, which is a celebrityname.com? Should my PBN look like it's a fan site for a celebrity, or should I just treat it like a non-celebrity's blog? I usually try to look as natural as possible, and because of that, I might, think look being a little more like a fan page or something like that. And but you definitely can, and with a few extra steps, make it look natural. Would advise. Okay, you will remember they may have spider specter on the sites we're going to discover your client competitor. Yeah, that's good to once you've done it. Expired domain, you start to get an impression of the quality of things that it takes to go on site to give it a certain domain page authority. If you start to come across high domain authority sites that don't look like they have any links going to it, and you're wondering what's going on there, there's a reasonable possibility that they're doing up for them that has a PBN that has spider specter under that. So you're not seeing those links. Yeah, I must have had a little bandwidth issue. So. Yeah, TJ. Yeah, what I commented. Session started. We've lost sessions here. I'm just gonna call them a loss. I know we've been able to cover some stuff, but I'm going to add some sessions in, give you guys you know, full value of everything that that we anticipated being able to deliver. So yeah, I definitely know it's been frustrating, but yeah, hopefully, it seems like we've been able to cover quite a bit this session. So, okay, Philip, Jen, I'll tell you how I feel as a longtime customer of Host 9. I'm disappointed to see that the last few months, several groups, not just only 1,000 people, have gotten wise to Host 9. Yeah, there's quite a few people on there. Well, it's great to share useful tips with people. Some things shouldn't be shared or they will be destroyed. I'm not looking forward to moving my sites. Yeah, okay, Igor, what about the only list I do see with a competitor, if they are very low domain authority and our links, still the use of spider spec is a possibility there. Oh yeah, they could still have spider spec work. But the lower the authority and PR are, the easier it's going to be for you to outrank them, Igor. So if that's low anyway, regardless of whether they got a bunch of links going there, I wouldn't worry about it too much because Google and Moz are not, you know, classifying those as important good links. Josh said SoundCloud. Start talking quick. Yeah, from your experience, how would you explain the merits, say specifically, as added value or different view to the merits of PBN? Honestly, PBN, those high-quality links are where it's at. GSA is just a low-cost way of getting things built, and because of that, we usually use it for lower type keywords or strategies like videos and things like that. Typically, videos are not going to be what drives our conversions. So I still think that this is the side of things that we want to focus on. You know, we need to have good quality links pointing to our money site. GSA is great for all these secondary properties, not our branded stuff. That is, so we have them toward you know, party sites and high domain authority directory sites and things like that. Shane, is our membership to OMG permanent or does it end at some point? You've got full lifetime access, Shane, so you've got that forever. It's 4 months, but the access to all the training and videos and the community at Facebook and LinkedIn is, you know, lifetime. So, TJ, you always over deliver. Oh, thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. I try to. So yeah, we'll make it work for you guys. We'll get you more than enough to make sure you're in the right direction. Joster, do you know an easy way to get the geo info derived from IP addresses displayed to a visitor? No, I don't. That's a little technical for me, and I haven't had to do anything like that. So I don't know of a solution for that, Joster.
Because we didn't have any power. So we were trying to keep it all together until we could do something. So you can't use your screwdriver, you can't make it. How do we keep this all together?
Did you find that the
Well, at times, if there's a storm.
yeah, but generally, you know, like even children.
Okay, Ken, just found out that OpenSite Explorer is a cost of $99 per month. That was a shock. Is there any substitute for this? What I did when I first got started with that, Ken, is there are typically 60 and 90-day free trials floating around for OpenSite Explorer for Moz. I picked that up, and what that did was get me down the road far enough to have my revenue up, and that was not as much of a shock that way. It wasn't as big a portion of my overall budget. So your alternative to that would be Ahrefs, and I think that's still like $67. And people use that. It actually displays the same kind of data. There's a few other, you know, link aggregators is what they're called, that will give you that information. But I personally like OpenSite Explorer. It's easy for me to understand, and so because of that, I'll continue to use it. But if you're going to be buying expired domains, you need something like that. Shane, do you happen to know how many domains SEO hosting allows per server? I don't, Shane. Yeah, that's not something I would. I would have come across. I don't know. Igor, I have a PBN setup question, if that's okay. I set up my first PBN perfectly with WordPress. My blog shows the second PBN I set up with the same methods, but I get a not found page and not the WordPress. Any ideas? I would say there is something going on with your name servers. When you pointed your registrar over to your hosting, I'd say that something got off kilter there, Igor, if you're getting a not found. So I would go back and check to make sure that your name servers at your registrar are pointed to the correct location in your hosting account. So just make sure those name servers are matching, and that's where I would start looking. Chuck says, Josh should take a look at the Geo opt-in plugin for WordPress. Just Google it. Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, Mary, that's another good thing. Yeah, sometimes what Mary's getting at here, she does a great job of explaining it, but I'll just do it verbally. There is a default sometimes that puts your WordPress blog into a subfolder instead of the root domain, and sometimes you'll have to type in the /wp to find your actual blog, and that can happen. If that's the case, what you need to do is just go back into your cPanel and reinstall WordPress on the root domain. So delete. There's usually a little a default box that will have like /wp in it, and you just delete that and leave it empty, leave it blank. Igor says, wait, OpenSite Explorer I just used to look up links, and I just log in for free. Do we need OpenSite Explorer for other things? Now, if you do a lot of research, Igor, yeah, you'll hit your limit for search on that. You have like a certain number of searches per day that you can do. Yeah, so I'd check out your, Mary, I took the WP away. Yeah, I'd check your name servers, Igor. I see that saying that, or George, I think it was, saying that stomach. Honestly, guys, the reason that I know a lot of this stuff, and I'm not saying I know it all, but it is because I've made mistakes with it and I had to try to figure out what the heck went wrong. So, don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's a learned thing. So, there are a lot of times how we come across the solutions that we need to learn things. All right, Ken, 120-day free trial. Very cool. So yeah, they take your credit card number. They usually start charging you after the 120 days, but that'll get you down the road far enough to get set up hopefully. Igor K, see Dave, but I can still do well without it. No, just look at the domain authority, page authority, and the links to it, and see the PR. Yeah. Yeah, if you're able to do that, then you're in good shape, Igor. That's what we use OpenSite Explorer for. Shane says the reason I asked is because I noticed just because I have a dedicated IP doesn't mean I'm the only one using that IP on SEO hosting. Yeah, I'd have to look and see exactly how they define all that, Shane, within SEO hosting. I've been using shared hosting for all of my stuff, so I'm not that familiar with with what dedicated hosting offers and what they restrict. You know, it's dedicated that way. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You were saying OSC never gives them a daily limit, so. Oh, cool, man. Oh yeah, Dave's saying that. You have a limited like 15 links. I think you also can't group the links by domain, so you may be seeing redundant links or redundant domains pointing to your link or pointing to the site that you're checking out.
A bit more money and you just have to just don't see that.
All right, so I'm over on the OMG Machines membership area real quick here. I'm just going to read off from David. We have some news on the hosting front. First, we asked Todd Spears, who you will likely see in the Facebook group, as an active helping hand, to make some demo and training videos for you to use BizBuilder hosting service that we recommend for PBN sites. Those 4 videos are now on the hosting demo page in the supremacy section. Thank you, Todd. I was at OMG Live last year as a panelist, and we hope that he'll be back again this year. OMG Live is scheduled for Friday evening, November. Okay, very cool. Second, still regarding hosting, we are changing a recommendation regarding Host 9. Host 9 reseller hosting is currently effective, and Greg uses it for some of his PBN sites and has mentioned it as a cheap option for PBN hosting. However, thanks to several Project Xers, it has been brought to our attention that we have confirmed with knowledgeable sources that they do have a service-wide footprint involving their parent IPs, DNS, and port 53. Currently, that is not an issue, but theoretically, Google could reduce or eliminate the juice from blog sites linking out from host 9 if Google wanted to do that. So, you are playing with fire. How hot or dangerous that fire is very hard to say. Greg has decided that he will keep the sites that he currently has hosted there, but will not put new PBN sites on there. In summary, Host 9 is currently effective and inexpensive using the reseller option, but it has a general footprint that marks your site as a site hosted by Host 9. Your site with them are not printed to you specifically. Google would have to decide to slap everybody on Host 9 or nobody, essentially. I may have further news or clarification in the future. And then looks like it goes on to talk about Todd's BizBuilder hosting, who I think is an amazing site I've been using for not only hosting websites, but I have a virtual private server set up with them that I run GSA on. So now that I know what was said about that, was my understanding of it, but I didn't know specifically what David had said. So some comments here. Shane says, if someone else gets a website banned on your shared hosting or IP, does that put a bad score on domain? Yeah, I guess I was confused. I was doing shared hosting with dedicated. Yeah. Figured that meant I was the only person using that IP. No, you should be okay there. That's the reason that we're able to use shared hosting and make sure that our IPs are different is because of that, Shane. We typically, it's maybe not the ideal situation, but right now Google doesn't do anything with that. And it's kind of evidenced by what was written there in the newsfeed on the membership website. So, Michael says, I have a site with host 9. My site can be reached from Safari with no proxies, but trying to reach it with Firefox no proxies, I get an error. No route to host. Any idea? Wow. No, I don't know what that could be, Michael. I haven't had an issue with that. Is it possible? I don't know where you got the hosting allocated. You know, whether it's U.S. or Asia or U.K. But even so, I can't imagine why one browser would have that and the other not, unless you've got some specific security features within Firefox that prevent you opening sites that are hosted in Asia potentially. I know the extra security in Firefox that is defaulted sometimes does cause some problems with that. So you may want to check the security settings in your Firefox browser to determine whether or not you've got certain IP addresses or regions blocked. Michael R., I use Todd's BizBuilder hosting, and I'm extremely happy with his support. However, I understand I need to diversify my hosting. I just bought a Host9 reseller account, and as that is under discussion, do you have more recommendations? Yeah, I use, I've currently got 4 hosting accounts that are all have PBN sites on them. They are SEOhosting.com, Skynet Hosting, I think .net, Todd's BizBuilder Hosting, and then Host9. And those are the 4 that I currently use, and I've been happy with them all. All right, Fletch, despite what those people told David, I think they are fairly unsophisticated if they believe that Google does not know what IPs belong to which web hosts. Yeah, I'm not sure that he's saying that they don't know, Philip. I think what he was getting at was that if Google is going to attempt to penalize that in some fashion, then it would wind up needing to do that across the entirety of the hosting. So yeah, so that's it, I think what's going on there, Philip. All right, Michael R. Further on Host9, the site is hosted in Amsterdam. Yeah, I would check your security settings within Firefox, Michael. Shane, FYI, Firefox has its own DNS cache. Figured that out the hard way. Used Flush DNS plugin, but that may be a proxy issue. Okay, yeah, that's kind of follow up on the inability to browse to a certain site in Firefox while Safari finds it just fine. All right, TJ, looks like you're heading out. Glad you were on as always, and yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. George, thanks for being on. You're always great to have. I appreciate the questions and the help out with everybody else's questions as well. It's definitely a benefit to have so many great people on these coaching sessions. Definitely get a lot of extra insight from everybody's experience.
Anyway, and they were doing the paperwork, and I said, well, can I just say that check? And so yes, very back of regard, I played this, and that's the back of regard, yes, I did. I was on my way out the first time. Her phone was there, she said, just about found out this morning. And I came back and this is, that's the way.
Yeah.
I'll just wait.
Oh, Michael R's got a comment here that he actually had to reboot his entire computer and router to get access to the website. So, and then a follow-up, I've read that Google flags any webmaster whose site gets penalized so that repeat offenders can be penalized as well. Any experience with that? No, not really, Michael. I don't think I've ever been penalized from my experience. I don't think that that I've ever had anything that went haywire like that. So I don't know, unless you kept your webmaster account the same, how they would actually know that it was actually you, though. Yeah, whenever you guys, if you are using Google Webmaster Tools, for each new website, set up a new contact email. And then even if you forward that contact email over to a different webmaster, you're going to be set up under a separate account. So my understanding of that is that Google, even if they were to, I can't imagine they would penalize an entire webmaster, because what that would do would be potentially penalize businesses that had used certain webmasters to manage their business or their online marketing. And if they did that, they would be potentially running the risk of people not wanting to use Google for a lot of those types of services. But I'm not sure. Okay, Matt B. Fletch puts more important in determining inbound links to a prospective PBN, expired domain, domain authority page authority. Domain authority, I would look at. Your page authority is going to determine where the link juice flows on a site. Domain authority is going to determine how much potential link juice is there. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, Fletch Schmidt April is here. Since I missed a couple of calls, may I ask if there has been any word from David with regard to continuing to benefit from great coaching calls? Yeah, Philip, we have talked, and that is going to be offered for extended access to coaching. David wanted to run it by me, and we had to figure out exactly how that was going to work. But yeah, that's going to be on the table for you guys as you wrap up your 4 months or whatever. If you want to continue having access to coaching, I'm going to be available for that. So you can ask David specifically about that, or I would imagine that he will have some type of an announcement either in the members area or via email for how that will work. But my understanding at this point is that it will continue similar to what we have been doing thus far with 3 sessions a week. And then, I have not, totally, you don't want to run the coaching via email. It just doesn't work. It eats into way too much of my time, and I can't deliver as much value that way. But if you guys do have potential issues that come up, email is a way to contact me, or even a personal Facebook message works as well. So that's how that will work. All right. There we go. Philip. David, would you set a web account for each new money site? Yes, definitely, Dave. And you can then link and get access over to a what the terminology is. You can essentially give access to that Web Tools account, or the Webmaster Tools account to like a third party, which will mean that you'll have one dashboard that you can access all of those individual accounts. So you want to set up an individual account for each of your money sites. Yes. Okay, Matt B, if that is so, domain authority is king, how many inbound links to a prospective PBN with XDA are you looking at as a minimum? How many inbound links to a prospective PBN with whatever domain are you looking at as a minimum? I always like to see, depending on the site, I've got some pretty weak PBNs that have 15 links, and they do a fine job for what I'm trying to accomplish. They don't have a lot of domain authority, but it doesn't take a lot of domain authority or page rank to rank with the keywords I'm going after for those local niches. Okay, depends on trying to rank, not necessarily, if you're going to buy a $50 expired domain, it's not going to be ridiculously powerful. But it might be the best use of those financial resources for you to buy that and rank for local keywords, if that makes sense. So, I don't usually look for sites to acquire that have less than 10 links, for sure. But at the same time, some sites with more than 1,000 links are also not good to buy, just because so many of those links are spammy. And, quite frankly, if we're going to do something like that, we might as well just use GSA and try to build our own VPN site. So there's a sliding scale there where we look to buy quality VPNs. And, domain authority, that's why we start with, on that first page in Open Site Explorer, it tells you the domain authority and the page authority of where that link's coming from. Now, page authority and domain authority are not Google terms. Those are not things that Google releases, I guess. If they are metrics that Google has, they do not make them publicly known. DA and PA are things that Moz, Open Site Explorer, has come up with, and they use to tell you the relative power or authority of a website or a web page. So because of that, it's an approximation of I guess those terms or those aggregates of how powerful those sites are. But they do, at the moment, and have continued to improve, how well they tell us about the power and authority of the sites that we buy. That was a long explanation, but hopefully it makes sense, and it may expand on everybody's understanding of how that all works and what we're actually really looking for when we are doing our PBN research. Okay, Fletch, that's terrific news. Whatever it costs, a worthwhile investment, in my opinion. I've gotten far more done with you guys than ever before, and I'm very grateful. Philip, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate that. It means a lot, and I'm glad you feel that way. Okay, Dave, thanks so much. Great as usual. Good to have you on, Dave. Thanks for being here. Oh, yeah, thank you for saying that. Really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right, looks like our questions are kind of winding down. Not a lot of frequency coming in. So, yeah, if you guys have any further questions, I'll wait on for another minute or two here. And then we'll wrap up and plan on seeing you guys again on Tuesday. Ken, do I know for certain about 3 p.m. next Sunday? Next Sunday is Easter, Ken. We are going to push that coaching session to the following day, Monday. We're going to hold it at the same time. So next Sunday there will not be a coaching session. It will get bumped one day later onto Monday of the following week, which is going to be, I'll grab the date real quick. So we are moving the session that would have originally been scheduled for Sunday the 20th onto Monday the 21st. And we are going to still try to run that right at the same time that it's scheduled for. So depending on your time zone, I'll get an announcement over to David so that's posted in the membership area. But that's what the situation is going to be like for Easter Sunday. So. Philip, thanks for saying that. Definitely nice to hear. Did not hurt at all. All right, guys. Looks like we're winding down. Everybody's in a good place. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to the next session as always. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day on the weekend, and we'll talk to you all real soon. Thanks again, guys. Talk soon.